Hey folks, my name is Pravus and welcome to more Settlement Survival. I know it's been a couple years since we last played the game on the channel, which is surprising in and of itself because this game is probably the closest we've ever come to having a successor to Banished. However, I've been a little disappointed with the infrequency of the updates for this game, some changes to the roadmap that I found a little disappointing. Fortunately, we did recently get an update, which added in natural disasters to the game. So I figured this is a perfect excuse to go ahead and jump back in and experience whatever new content we have missed in the last couple of years. So let's go ahead and start up a new game. Now we're gonna make a couple of changes right up front. First off, we're not gonna be playing on peaceful mode. I don't know when they added combat mode. I don't remember this being in the game, but we're gonna go ahead and play with this, where we will have invasions from bandits and wild beasts. These can be pretty darn disastrous, so yeah, this is gonna be fun. And then we're gonna change the difficulty up. Now, I had actually done a practice game on extreme difficulty, which was extremely difficult, so it's fitting. However, once you factor in that there are natural disasters, it literally can be just game over just like that. It doesn't matter how well you've been playing, you're just dead. So we're not going to do extreme difficulty, but I am willing to go ahead and turn things up to hard. This means that my people are going to consume a ton of resources, keeping a balance is going to be difficult, and we are always going to be one disaster away from, well, disaster. Pretty much everything else we are going to leave as its current default, so let's go ahead and start up a new game in Praetoria and see how well we can do. Oh yeah, you can see the storms, the new artwork already. That looks pretty good, actually. I'll talk about some of the specific disasters I've encountered in a bit. For now, let's just go ahead and pick out a starting location. Generally speaking, I'm going to be looking for some sort of fertile grounds. I see a bit up over here that we could use for some early farming. However, generally speaking, the topography here is not very good. I might prefer to settle in a location like, let's say, over here, but I don't know. I'm looking for some open space, basically. I need to have a river. I need to have mountains nearby. Now, one thing that's actually kind of cool about the game is they did make it so you can reset the map directly right here, if I wanted to click this. But if you like the map, but you just generally don't like the placement of all these resource nodes, you can just reset them. So really, it's more important that you pick a location you're happy with, and then you can go ahead and keep resetting things. I think, actually, yeah, my original plan right over here kind of makes sense, especially now that there is some fertile ground nearby. So we're going to go ahead and settle up in this general vicinity like so. Normally, I prefer to be more toward the center of the map, but this is what I've got to work with. Okay, so let's go ahead and plan out a few basic things. We're going to start by getting my food planned out. We're going to set down some fields. An 11 by 11 here is the optimal size because we're going to get a 50% production bonus in that location, so we know we're going to want that. I'm also going to try to employ a few techniques that I learned as I was playing through extreme difficulty. Such things as you really want to place your housing surprisingly close to where people are working. Because, at least in extreme difficulty mode, if people travel very far away from their homes, they are going to freeze to death very, very rapidly. So having one giant urban center far away from your working locations is not actually a very feasible decision. We'll go ahead and place one house down over there. I'll place more in a second. Let's also plan out where I want to place things like, let's say, a chapel and a clinic. And then it's okay to just go ahead and pause buildings that I'm not going to want constructed right away, which is completely fine. Other things I'm going to need include, let's say, a latrine and stuff like that. I'll come back to some of those. Let's just plan out a few things. So maybe something kind of like this to get us started, right? We'll start by building out the field first, plus a house. I'll have some room for neighborhoods in this general area. Clinic, chapel, I'll eventually want to have school, town hall. We'll definitely need a well early on, so we'll go ahead and unpause that, but we will say that the farm and the house are the priorities. Latrine to make people happy, a repair shop for later on, and then again some more housing. Also a couple of foresters' huts in locations where I will be able to plant down a bunch of trees, though I probably will not be relying too heavily on that. If only we had a dang fishing point over here, I'd take advantage of fish, but to be honest, that's not enough food for the number of workers that we will have at our disposal to start, so not going to worry about that. We've only got 12 adults in the game at the moment, which, you know, that's not a whole lot. It's the same in extreme difficulty, I believe, actually. Same number of people, but that's, you know, still pretty rough because people actually consume so much food in extreme difficulty. It's kind of insane. All right, over here, what are we going to plant down? We have lettuce and we have tomatoes. Both delicious. We can make a lovely salad. I guess we'll just go ahead and do the lettuce. It doesn't really matter which ones we do. 3 workers over here to plant is probably fine. At harvest time, we're probably going to want to have like 5 or 6 people to harvest to make sure that we get all of that before, I guess it's mid-September hits. What do we have as far as animals? I see llamas, but I don't see any evidence of animals we can capture for pastures. They're way over here. We've got geese and turkeys. Okay, that's not very helpful. Lots of good fish up over here. Any other animals? There's one over here. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? I can't see what that is in the trees. What is it? It's more geese. That doesn't help. Uh-oh. Okay, so this might actually be kind of a difficult game simply because I'm not sure how the heck we're supposed to get much in the way of clothing materials. We're going to have to hunt the ever-living crud out of the alpacas. That's what's going to have to happen. All right, fair enough. I mean, I'm not opposed. It's just I feel kind of sad about it. And let's see. It is starting off in January, by the way. So we're already very, very cold, which is no surprise at all, honestly. We're going to need to make sure we get this up and running. Do we need to get firewood right away? The answer is obviously yes. Chopping house, domestic fuels. That's an option, but one other thing we could do is probably go back to our science. We haven't touched this in a while, but I've got 3 points to start, which is really not that bad. I'm going to go ahead and get the sawmill unlocked immediately because that is going to be far, far more efficient. We could also start working on things like the farms and compost immediately too, which is tempting. What I'm actually going to do is first pick up school expansion, because this is going to double the amount of science that we get from a school. Now, you might think, well, why don't you just go for the research institute? These are significantly better. They are, but only if you get paper. Otherwise, they're not that different from the school, and this really doesn't take much. It's kind of passive. This actually takes a bunch of workers. So for now, it's going to be a lot easier for me to just go ahead and pick up the school expansion so I can get a lot more efficiency out of this when I build it, and I will. And then we're going to go ahead and start working on farming as aggressively as we can. We want to get up to this farming efficiency. This needs to be one of the first techs you get in extreme difficulty. I wouldn't even bother with the science, to be honest. I just can in hard difficulty. But in extreme, you really want to go for this. It's absolutely crucial. Doubling the speed of sowing and harvesting, so you don't necessarily need to have 6 people harvesting in order to get the full crop, right? That's kind of how that's supposed to work. All right, we've got 1 house. 1. Great. We can place down a sawmill, and I want to do that. Now, you could place down a regular sawmill over here, and it wouldn't be that bad, honestly. If I weren't right next to the river, I probably would. But I am right next to the river, which means we should definitely make use of this. Anyway, people just need to survive the heat a little bit longer. Good news, having 1 house, everybody and their mother is allowed to crowd into the house to warm themselves by the fire and then go about their lives, which is why getting at least 1 house is so important to the higher difficulties. Otherwise, people will very literally freeze to death very, very quickly. You can't focus on all the other stuff. All right, the well is up. 1 person might be enough on hard difficulty. On extreme difficulty, it seems like you need to have 2 workers. 1, maybe we can get away with it. Go ahead and authorize another one of these houses to get built up, by the way. Looks like people are doing fine over here. How many builders do we have? We can get a 4th. I don't mind getting a 4th, maybe even a 5th, to be honest, but I think 4 is fine for now. Really want to get this sawmill up and running, though. We have 120, it looks like, fuel available. So I guess it's actually not super urgent, because pretty soon it's going to be March. And around March or April, that's when the temperature warms up and people aren't going to start freezing. It's really from December to February that things are bad. Also, once March starts, that's when you start sowing all of your plants. So we'll be doing that very soon. Well, actually, that's not true necessarily. Yeah, it is. It says it's March right down here. It also says it's March right up here. What do you mean this plant doesn't grow in this season? Yes, it do. Oh, now March has arrived, it says. Ugh, bit of delayed reaction there, okay. Can someone please consult the dang calendar a little bit sooner? That'd be great. What does it take to build the school again? Not that bad in terms of resources. We're going to go ahead and authorize that one too. And this really is an aggressive, greedy play on my end, going for the school this early on. There's so much else in our economy that's more important. Our people don't even have homes. But I very badly want to boost up this science generation very, very quickly. So the faster we do that, I just think the better. Boom. All right. So now we're going to see that our science generation is going to go up a lot faster. In fact, if we click on this, we can see we're getting an output of 40. 40 science is now our boost. It would have been 20, but because we got the double school expansion here, it's actually pretty good. So as far as like a passive science generation goes, this is good. Not to mention, we're going to have our students going through this pretty early on. The only problem with a school is somebody has to be working it. That is one very valuable worker that is not working the fields and instead is educating my children's. Also, we are out of workers, so I cannot do any hunting. That's fine. We can actually pull back on a couple of builders. I don't need a lot right now. We'll have these guys work over here instead, and then we'll start gradually working on some of the housing. Now, it is important we get things like clinics and chapels up pretty soon. Right now, we're at full happiness and health because we do have like a kind of an optimism thing going on for us right now. And having this at a maximum is just giving us a lot of good stuff. It's weird in that I think, well, no, this stuff was at 100%. Maybe it was actually at highest earlier. But regardless, stamina consumption goes down, work efficiency goes up. The longer this lasts, I mean, you know, the better. You like people to be happy, gets you a lot of production bonuses. You mostly don't want this falling below like 50% though, which is kind of inevitable. This will go away, and if you don't have chapels and clinics and other things, people will get upset. We'll come back to that later though. I've already got another tech point. That was pretty quick. Let's go ahead and pick up the farm. Now the farm would benefit from compost. I don't have any dung production at the moment now, so this doesn't help me. And I just kind of placed down a field. I'm not going to rip it up in favor of a farm. So until we're ready to do something with compost, that's useless, but whatever, it could be nice. So the alpacas are literally right here. That's right, I just watched this guy walk up with an axe and hack an alpaca to death. Or maybe it's a llama, I don't even know. They're basically the same thing, right? Yeah, that was brutal, but I like how hardcore you are, sir. Anyway, I need to get myself at least a couple more houses. I'm going to intentionally spread these out just a little bit so that people can have other houses spread out. That way, if someone's working over here, for example, they don't have to walk all the way over here to get warm. There'll be one right here. Same thing when I build the forester. I want somebody to be able to walk very quickly to a home instead of going all the way down here. Travel time is the Mind Slayer. Or, what is that phrase from Dune? Fear is the mind killer? I think that's what it is. That's basically what this is. We don't like travel time. I don't like using my legs any more than I have to. Another tech point already? Frick me. Okay, yep, see, and I think this is proof positive that the school is really good. So farming efficiency is now done, which means we might not actually need like 5 or 6 workers in order to harvest this. We've got at least another month or so before I'm going to be harvesting, so right now ripeness is at 83%. We call this really good, actually. This is a very solid start here. The difference between this and extreme is already palpable. Oy vey, you guys don't know. It was pain. It was sheer pain. But I was actually doing pretty well in extreme difficulty. I was doing okay. It was slow, but I was okay. I was starting to grow. I got up to like 50 population. Things were okay. But you're barely hanging on with your food and other resources. But this is where the natural disasters come into play. There are a few. I've only seen a few of them. One example would be a flood. A flood that pops up from the corner of the map and washes over the entire map. It destroys about half of your crops, which on extreme difficulty is already basically like a death sentence for a portion of your population. But then the waters stay there for forever, and you're not able to grow for like 2 months out of the year. So you don't get almost any ripeness. You basically got no farming at all. You're done. Just straight out GG, goodbye. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. Everyone is dead. That's what it was. It did not feel good, is the best I can say. It did not feel good at all. Another tech point already. Frick me! All right, I really didn't realize the school was this good. Okay, yeah, again, the difference is just remarkable. All right, what else is really important for us right now? Well, a few things we could do. I mean, going for like knitting and mills and stuff like that feels a little excessive right now. Could start working on the warehouses early, but I just don't think I see the point. Baskets are good if you have things like reeds, but I don't really. Livability, we could get the herbalist hut. That would be an option for us. I don't really need things like police stations and stuff like that yet. I'm not going to work more in science. I'm just not going to have the population for this for at least another couple of years. I think it's best to probably go for things like mining next, just so we will be able to place down some mines. And at the very least, this lets me think through where I'm going to be kind of locating other buildings in my town. So a mine over here, for example, right on the corner. Yeah, this could be an option for me. So I place this over here, and all of a sudden, this kind of looks like a decent smithing area, you know? It's right next to a bunch of different storage. It's going to be right next to where we're getting some iron, or we're going to get some coal. Heck, I could probably even fit another mine right here. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Gosh dang, these mines, you know, and the freaking shape of the mountains, it's always just so... All right, whatever. Whatever, we got plenty of mines around us. We're not going to struggle as far as, like, getting materials later on. It's going to be okay. So how are we doing as far as the field? I mean, it is August. We have 1 month left to harvest. We've gotten almost half of it. I actually am a little concerned that we're not going to get all of this by the end of the year, even with 3 people with the 100% boost. Which kind of goes to show that in 11 by 11, you really need to have like 4 workers. Not necessarily for the planting, it's just the harvest season that gets them killed. Well, whatever. As soon as we have finished harvesting all this, I'll be able to reassign these workers. Winter is the time to go ahead and start getting a lot more lumber. It's the time to go ahead and start getting a lot of building projects out of the way, blah, blah, blah. Another tech point. Holy crud. I actually don't need nearly this many tech points. All right, maybe getting into school was a mistake. I mean, it sounds great. Having lots of technology sounds great, but I literally have no immediate use for all of this. All right. Well, we could get barracks. This is something that's actually useful when you do have combat mode for the map. So we can get barracks to actually create armies, and there's shield camps, big towers, iron weapons, elite army camps, basically castles, which is kind of cool. And actually, if we go to, I think it's under services and scroll over, yeah, we can get some arrow towers. This is useful for some early game defense when you are probably going to be getting attacked by, you know, banditos. That said, I'm not going to worry about this right now. We will know when there is a camp. My bigger issue is that we need to actually get a clinic up and running because somebody has already gotten themselves injured. Great job, dingus. All right, I need people to chop down trees a lot faster. Get me some freaking lumber, please. Now, the other thing I would really like to get early would be a town hall, just so I have immigration as an option. That's a good way to get an influx of extra people. That said, I can see up here in the map that we're only going to have a merchant ship at some point. We are not going to be getting immigrants in the near future, so there's really no point in worrying about that yet. Yes, I know fuel reserves are low, darling. Thank you very much. I don't need to keep getting reminded. It's like everyone wants to shove my failures in my face. We're doing the best we can. Whatever, the clinic is almost done. This person can stop whining about a broken ankle or whatever they got. A foot fracture. I think it's probably fine. It's just a flesh wound. There we go. Now we have a clinic. All right, that person get healed up pretty quick. Diseases are going to get annoying at some point. One way to get... We have 2 points? Whoops. One way of getting around that, of course, is to get things like herbalist huts and stuff. Even if you have no intention of getting any herbs right now, the ability to treat things like waterborne diseases and stuff is not bad. You have to go down this tree all the way if you want to get things like airborne diseases and stuff like that. So let's see. Police station wouldn't do me a lot of good. I don't need a marquee. I don't need any of this. I'm just checking to see if there's anything that makes sense. Tea shop? No, we're not going to have the ability to do any of this for a while either. I mean, we could work on things like this Research Institute, but it just feels wrong. Palace of Justice. I don't think this existed the last time I played the game. A judicial building that is critical to start the edict function. Edict coins. I don't know what that is. Sounds fun. Can't do anything with it for now, but it sounds fun. Reservoirs? Yeah, if I had sand and clay, we could build this. Be a very good way of getting lots of drinking water. I'm not going to worry about trade. I'm just not going to. Not for a bit. But we'll go ahead and unlock the sand mining so I have the option. Not going to worry about refined fuel. I think cut stone is going to be important too. We need that for a lot of other things. But like, this is all kind of just a pipe dream right now. What I really want are just more like passive bonuses. Because I can't do almost anything, actually, with all the stuff that I'm unlocking right now. It's just not an option. I mean, it would be nice to get things like delivery, I suppose. Workers in marketplaces or small marketplaces will automatically deliver. I guess that's maybe one of the next things we pick up. Just remember that every new technology you get, it starts scaling up exponentially. So your early game techs actually do matter. You don't really want to do a bunch of throwaways because it just means it's going to be that much harder to get to the stuff you need later on in the game. And now it is March, which means we put our farmers back to work. One thing I've always been nervous about, like, you'd like to think that you can just leave these people here, and if they have nothing to do, they just default into laborers. And I think that's how the game is supposed to work. But especially on the high difficulties, I just don't feel like taking the risks, so I'd rather just micromanage these guys to guarantee they're going to be where I want them to be. Happiness and health is falling, by the way. We knew that was going to happen. If you want to know how you're supposed to boost that up, you can click on the citizens here and see exactly what they want, right? So the fact that they have some rather cheap clothing and tools is, you know, giving me a bit of stuff, right? They don't have any shoes. They don't have any hand porters. They do have raw food, and it's not cooked, so that's a problem, right? Tainted water, that's not good. They're drinking straight from the river. We have a clinic, but no herbs. So this helps, but not entirely. Getting a church will boost this up. Theaters, bathhouse, open defecation. Yeah, it's not saying that they want open defecation, it's just saying that's what their current status is. That's one of the reasons you have to get things like a latrine, because that actually does boost up your health, which makes perfect sense. We also at some point need to get ourselves a graveyard. Even if I'm not going to be using the cemetery, and hopefully no one dies, you need to have it. Otherwise, they're just going to be sad sacks. And I guess I'll place it over here next to the clinic. Is it a terrible location? Oh, absolutely it is. Why is it a terrible location? Because it's prime real estate for housing and other things directly around things like the chapels and clinic, but it's right next to the chapel, which means it's gonna look good, so how could I possibly say no? If you've ever watched me on YouTube, you should already know, sometimes the rule of cool is king. But now we have nothing to do again, because I have no spare workers, because they're all working in things like the school. Also the clinic, also the chapel. And you might wonder, by the way, can you just like turn off the clinic when you don't have anybody sick? Yeah, you can do that. But the only way to get the 15% health bonus is to have someone working it at all times. And again, if this actually keeps you above 80%, which it is for the moment, it won't for long, but it is for now, you know, that's a way of getting my stamina consumption reduced. That makes everyone else more efficient. So, yeah, for at least for the moment, it's totally worth it. All right, so I got another tech point already. Got no idea what to do with it. I guess I will take the delivery. I thought this already is what the marketplace does. I guess not. I guess that right now the person working in the marketplace, and you don't have to have someone here, but I guess all they're doing right now is they're collecting resources. But now they're going to go ahead and deliver things, which I think is worth it, because that means that my people living in their houses don't have to spend valuable hours of their day traveling to go get things from the market. It's just there. It's home delivery service. This is Uber Eats, sort of. Grocery delivery, that's what we'll call it. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is technically an efficiency boost. Not a massive one, but it helps. Honestly, the biggest thing is I just need some of my students to grow up, or I need some immigration. Because otherwise, we're just sitting here for a while. What else we got going on, by the way? A gold point. Yeah, get a quarry or something, or an open mine over here. We could get some gold. Not bad if you want to do some coinage, or maybe get some good trade goods, golden statuettes, stuff like that. Could be kind of fun. Anything else that's, like, nearby? I mean, grassland for pastures is way up here. And by the way, I feel like some of this can maybe get destroyed or rearranged in certain disasters, which I know you haven't seen yet, but they do exist. I'm pretty sure, for example, the drought can get rid of, like, either seeds or pastures or something like that. Also, the flood, I know, can rearrange some of the fishing points. I've definitely seen that happen. So, kind of interesting, right? The disasters definitely add a bit of difficulty to the game, and there's not really much of a way to counter that. There's one exception. With the flood, you can place down a detention basin, which I don't think we can place right now. I guess I can, actually. I don't have to have any tech for this. But we need to have steel and stuff, and bricks, and cut stone. It's just expensive. But the point is, with these, you should be able to protect some areas from the effect of the flood. So, there is that. Also, the shelter. Apparently, when a disaster occurs, avoid casualties. Ooh. So, like, if I were to place this over here, like, I think we saw this before in... What was it? Was it the Easter Island playthrough? Maybe it was. I don't know. Something like that. But if we place something like that over here, I won't build it. But in theory, we can protect our people from, like, a tornado or something. I mean, the town will still get destroyed. It's going to be in terrible shape. But, you know, whatever. By the way, we do not have a lot of time before I need to get things like tools, as well as clothing. So let's go ahead and start thinking about some of that. So if our mines are going to be located up over here, I think placing a smithy in this general vicinity could make some sense. We also will need to get a tailor, which doesn't really need to be by much except for some storage. I guess we could place that kind of up over here, close to some storage in the hunting huts. Yeah, that seems all right. We'll just have to use alpaca wool. I think that's the only thing I'll be able to use, honestly. Lots of alpaca wool should be able to get me some clothing to tide me over. It's not going to last for very long, though, I can tell you that, and I'm very concerned that we don't have a good way of dealing with that. Do we have any nearby seeds that I could gather? I don't actually know if I've seen any on this map, now that I think about it. Have we seen any seeds that can be discovered? No. Those are all just animals. I don't think there are. Interesting. I've had a thing in the game where I thought that one of the disasters removed the seeds, and then I was able to discover stuff anyway. It might just be bugged and they're not showing for some reason. If you get a gatherer's hut, there's a chance you discover some seeds. What I need to discover is like cotton or linen or something. Anything that will let me make sustainable clothing. Because just hunting down alpacas, that is not going to last for very long. Because there's only a certain number. In fact, they may all be dead. Are they all dead? I see geese. That's all I see, though. Uh-oh. Did we hunt the alpaca to extinction? Maybe. Honestly, if that's the case, now I'm even more afraid. Because we are going to really struggle to make our people happy if we can't produce any clothes at all. Uh-oh. Oh, and we have something else that just happened. Hold on. A bandit camp has appeared. In 6 years, we will be attacked. Okay, there it is. All the way in the opposite corner of the map. One spear bandit will spawn in 6 years to attack me. Well, that gives me at least a little bit of time to figure out what the heck to do, and then once we eventually can put together an army, we'd come over here and we'd kill this thing. You can see that this also is going to level up over time and get more dangerous. So that is a bit of a problem. We're going to have to be able to craft weapons and stuff like that. Or, of course, we could start trying to craft some, like, you know, towers and get some bows. That could be an option for defense, but it's not going to last for very long. We'll also get attacked by horrible beasts at some point who will try to kill my people and destroy my buildings. And again, having an army would be useful to deal with that. Hey, we had discovered some livestock. Well, great. Let me guess. It's a goose? Yep, it's a goose. Okay. I mean, it's not bad, right? It's not a bad thing to go ahead and have pastures. A way of getting some additional dung, which can be used for compost. And they should grow relatively quickly, and we'll be able to start getting some additional meat and some feathers. I don't have an immediate use for feathers, but maybe we could use it as a trade good or something. I don't know. There are a few other little things in the game that I don't recognize. I'm wondering if maybe there are more updates than I gave the game credit for. Minor ones, maybe, but like, what are textbooks? Right? If we have books in stock from merchant ships, I guess we could pass on specific kinds of knowledge to our children. I mean, that could be kind of cool if we go to our, what is it, tech things. There's book collection, obtain the books, proper rest, wild vegetables and mushrooms, and then water sanitation. Interesting. Sure, why not? Yeah. Education efficiency, that's not the one I'm looking for. I thought there was something here at some point. Enriching courses, there we go. Yeah, school-type structures, enriched courses, and more textbooks, right? There's a bunch of things you can do with them, apparently. I've just never seen them before. So, I don't know. Either I have a bad memory from 2 years ago, which I can't imagine to be true. I usually am very good at remembering things in games. Not like while I'm actually playing, just whatever. People can immediately point to all my faults in the comment section. I know that's going to happen. But the point is, usually I can remember features of games, or at least there's something in the subconscious of my brain that tells me when I'm wrong. In this case, though, no, I think that maybe that's new. I think that's something that got added. I just don't know when. It's cool, though. Sure, why not? Oh my god! What the frick is this? Oh, oh, I'm gonna wake up my baby. I can't yell like that. A wild brown bear not far from the town appeared and is destroying the trees around it. You don't say! Freaking heck. Alright, do you want to calm it down or take it home? I ain't capturing that. Calm it down and send it home, for frick's sake. That was just not... Oh, wow, it actually did destroy all the trees around it, too. Yeah, I don't know why, like, Ursa, you know, the bear from the stars was here or whatever, but, like, woo! That was one big bear. This actually reminds me of a funny little story. It has nothing to do with the game. You'll have to pardon me if I'm about to go on a bit of a tangent, but we're going to do that. My wife and I went to New York in the Finger Lakes region, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. You know, before the heir was born. But that was one of our last vacations before we had a baby. But we went on many a hike, because there's only so much to do in the Finger Lakes region. I expected it to be more of a touristy area, and it was not. It had lots of wineries and a lot of hiking, and that's really about it. So we went hiking a lot, and hiking could get a little annoying at times. We got kind of bored. But we went to one particular trail site where we read the description of the trail site, and it said, this is named Bear Pass because someone reported seeing a bear here once. And I'm like, once? One time someone saw a bear? So for the rest of the trip, we were making up stories about why somebody saw a bear and basically how they're probably just a like notorious liar and they got a park named after them and stuff like that. And I just saying to my wife repeatedly, just randomly, "Oh, Tim saw a bear." And my wife couldn't stop laughing every time. It made a very hot, humid, nasty hike a very funny experience. That has nothing to do with nothing, just a little glimpse into my life. For the record, by the way, it'd be very nice if any of these students would freaking get older now. Actually, now that I think about it, is this game like Banished in that when you are a student, you do not enter the workforce for a bit longer, right? You have to go through like proper like educational teenage years instead of just getting married at 13 and having babies. Is that how this works? It might actually be how that works. If that's the case, it might be one more reason not to have gotten a school. I could technically just turn this off and I bet you these people would graduate immediately. But at this point, sunk cost fallacy says, no! I'm gonna find a way to stick it out even if it's stupid. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pull someone off of the water. We don't need this right now. Go ahead and start working on making some preferably iron tools. That'll be a lot better than using the stone tools. And if I can free up one more person, we'll start making some clothes. But tools are a bit more important right now. We're sort of treading water here. We're not doing great. We don't even have anyone making any more domestic fuel. It's just I haven't used any for a while. But we're keeping ourselves alive. We've got water production. We're now working on some wood production. I've got enough food coming in. If I get some compost, this just gets that much better. And we can work on a lot of the bare basics. Hopefully things like the chapel and the clinic are going to prevent us from falling too far in our happiness. We're already in the normal range. I'd really rather not fall below 60%, but there's not really much of a way to do that unless we're going to start investing a lot more. Like, I need to get the tombstones, and I need to get the latrine. The latrine, however, requires a regular worker. So oh, we just found turkeys as well. Fun. So basically, though, we're not going to be able to do anything until my students come of age. I'm so tempted just to turn off the school and say, screw it, you all graduate. Actually, one just graduated. Hey! The sunk cost fallacy wins again! We just have to hang in there a little bit longer. If one just graduated, then the rest must be around the corner. Okay, so we're going to have a nice little boost in our production here pretty soon, but I think this is a good place for us to end this video, a very solid start for us on a hard difficulty, but remember, in 5 years, we are going to be getting attacked by bandits. I don't see any beasts on the horizon, but that could also happen. Natural disasters are going to pop up at some point, and hey, look, immigrants. Okay, so we do need to get things at the town hall up and running too. A lot to do, basically. A lot to do, but so far I think we are on track for success. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you're looking forward to this series of Settlement Survival. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.